The galaxy had been quiet for many years. Trade was good. Peace was normal. The great alien races lived in comfort, believing that the age of war was long gone. But one day, everything changed. A signal was picked up by a deep space sensor. It was weak, broken, and full of fear. The message repeated again and again through the silence of space. At first, no one believed it. Some thought it was a mistake. Others thought it was just static. But when the source of the signal was confirmed, the Galactic Union called for an emergency meeting. The message came from the Varnock, one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. Proud, tall, and known for their unstoppable warships, the Varnock had never asked anyone for help. Until now. In the Grand Council Hall, the most powerful leaders of the galaxy sat around a long black table. The walls were covered with glowing maps of star systems. A giant screen in front of them played the message over and over. This is High Chancellor Gore of the Varnock Dominion. We are under attack. The enemy is not like anything we have faced. They move like shadows. They do not speak. They do not stop. Please, this is not a fight for honor. This is survival. We need help. Any help. Please. The voice was shaking, desperate. That alone shocked the council. Varnock leaders never showed weakness, never begged. The Zyran ambassador, a creature with a silver shell and 6 glowing eyes, turned to the others. The swarm, he said quietly. It's the swarm. They've returned. A cold silence filled the room. The swarm was a name from old war logs, records so old, many believed they were myths. They were said to be a living force that moved from galaxy to galaxy, eating everything in their path, ships, cities, planets. No one knew where they came from or what they wanted. Only one thing was clear. Once the swarm came, everything vanished. They destroyed the Dren homeworld, one diplomat whispered, and the Ralchi sun, another added. But that was over 200 years ago, someone said. We thought they were gone. They were, the Zyran ambassador said, but now, they're back. Every species present had different ideas, different fears, but none of them knew what to do. No one wanted to send their fleets into a black hole of death. Then one of the chairs creaked. It was still empty. The chair for Earth. They're late. Again. The Rethel representative grumbled. As always. Just then, the doors at the back of the chamber opened with a soft hiss. 2 humans entered. 1 man, 1 woman. Both wore simple black uniforms with no visible ranks or symbols. Their faces were calm. Too calm. They walked slowly to their chair and sat down without a word. The council stared. You're late, the Zyran ambassador said. The man smiled slightly. Yes, we heard the signal. The woman leaned forward. We've been preparing. Preparing for what? Asked Chancellor Gore, his voice rough through the speakers. The woman looked at the screen. The Varnock message played one last time. Then she looked back at the council. We've met the swarm before, she said quietly. The room fell into complete silence. You what? Asked the Zyran, eyes wide. The human man nodded. They came for Earth long ago, before we were part of your union. You survived? Asked Gore, disbelief in his voice. The woman nodded slowly. Barely. But yes. How is that possible? Asked another ambassador. No one survives the swarm. The man looked around. We did not survive as we were. We changed. Chancellor Gore's face appeared on the screen. Then help us. Tell us what to do. The woman stood up and pressed a small device on the table. The screen flickered. The Varnock signal disappeared. A new file appeared. It was marked in red. Human Military Archive. Level 0 clearance, code black. Wait, the Rethel representative said. Code black? That's a doomsday file. You're not supposed to share that, said the Zyran. We know, the woman said. But the swarm is not just a threat to the Varnock. If they've returned, then the whole galaxy is in danger. The file opened. Images appeared on the screen. Strange weapons. Giant machines. Creatures with metal bones and burning red eyes. Explosions on distant moons. Screaming. Fire. Ships falling from the sky. Everyone watched in silence. Then came the worst part. A recording. A voice. "This is Commander Hayes of Earth Defense. We've lost New Europe. They came from beneath the oceans. They don't just kill, they take. They grow stronger with each death. We're activating Project Ember." The screen showed a city being destroyed from above, by Earth's own weapons. The ambassadors watched, eyes wide, faces pale. "You destroyed your own city?" asked the Zyran. The woman nodded. "It was the only way. We couldn't let them take it." The man added, "We called it surviving, but it was something else, something darker." The file ended. No one said anything for a long time. Then, Chancellor Gore spoke again. "What is Project Ember?" The humans looked at each other. Finally, the woman answered, "It's not a weapon, it's a warning." The room grew colder. Then the woman said one last thing before sitting down. "You asked for help, so we came. But to defeat the swarm, you must understand what we became to fight them, and what we might become again." The council did not reply, but every ambassador in the room knew one thing now. Earth had survived the swarm, but at what cost? And, if they had done it once, what would they do this time? The stars outside the window shimmered, and far away, the swarm moved closer. The room stayed silent even after the humans sat back down. No one blinked, no one moved. The images they had just seen, giant fireballs, black skies, cities burning, were still playing in their minds. The Varnock ambassador, Chancellor Gore, leaned closer to his screen. His face was pale under his thick red skin. "You destroyed your own cities?" he asked again. The human woman nodded slowly. "Yes, it was the only way." "Why didn't you tell the rest of the galaxy?" asked the Zyran ambassador. "Why hide it for so long?" The man answered this time. "Because you wouldn't have believed us. You would have called us monsters." The truth hit hard. Varnock had always seen humans as strange, maybe even wild, but this was something else. Earth had faced the swarm alone, and in doing so, they had become something colder, something dangerous. Gore looked down. "We are losing. Our fleets are broken. Cities are falling every hour. If you survived, then we must know what you know. How did you fight them?" The woman looked around the room, slowly, her eyes scanning each alien face. "We didn't just fight them," she said. "We studied them. We learned how they think, how they move, how they grow. And we learned one thing above all." She paused. Everyone leaned forward. "They don't stop," she said. "Ever." The man added, "You can't reason with them. You can't scare them. You can't trap them. The only thing they understand is total destruction." That word, total, felt heavy. The woman tapped her wrist. A small device appeared in her palm. She placed it on the table. A hologram rose above it. A giant black ship floating in the void. "This," she said, "is the Nightmare. It is Earth's last resort weapon. We built it after the war. It's never been used. And what does it do?" asked the Rethel ambassador. The humans didn't answer. Instead, the woman pressed a button and the hologram changed. It showed the swarm, dozens of them, hundreds, crawling over a moon, eating metal, feeding on light. Then silence. The moon cracked in half. Everything on it vanished. The Varnock stared. "What was that?" "Just a simulation," the man said. "But accurate." The woman added, "We call it Project Oblivion." Now the council was truly afraid. The swarm was terrifying. But Earth's response, it was worse. "You would use this on entire planets?" asked Gore. "If we must," the woman replied. "Because if even one swarm creature survives, it starts again. And again, until there's nothing left." The Rethel ambassador shook his head. "But such power is dangerous. What if it falls into the wrong hands? The human man gave a cold smile. That's why it never has. The room was filled with heavy silence again. The council members were scared, confused, and unsure of what to do. The Varnock needed help, but Earth's help came with shadows. Then the Xeran ambassador spoke slowly and carefully. What do you want from us? The woman tilted her head. We don't want anything. This isn't about trade. This isn't politics. This is survival. Yours, ours, everyone's. The man added. We're not here to negotiate. We're here to tell you the truth, and if you want our help, you have to trust us. All of us go in. Or none. Gore stood tall. I accept. The Varnock accept. We need your help. No matter the cost. The other ambassadors looked at each other. Some nodded slowly. Others hesitated. But one by one they agreed. Very well, the Xyran said. Earth will lead this mission. The woman looked at her device. Good. Then we begin now. She pressed another button. A new image appeared. A map of the Varnock star systems. Red dots covered half of it. Enemy locations. Lost planets. The human woman pointed at a system near the edge of the map. This world, she said. Tarven, that's where we'll make our stand. Gore looked up. That planet is already lost, the man replied. Yes, that's why the swarm won't expect us to go there. You want to trap them? The Xyran asked. The woman nodded. We want to send a message. The human team stood up. We'll leave in 12 hours, the woman said. We'll need full command of your fleets. No delays, no debates. Gore gave a sharp nod. You'll have it. As the humans turned to leave, the council stared at them with new eyes. They had come quietly, spoke little, but what they brought was unlike anything the galaxy had ever known. Behind their silence was fire. After they left, Gore looked at the Xyran. Do you think they can win this war? The Xyran looked at the door where the humans had gone. I don't know, he said, but I think they already did, long ago. Far away, deep in the dark parts of space, the swarm moved, silent, endless, hungry. They did not know that Earth was coming, and they had forgotten what Earth had once done to them, but they were about to remember. And this time, Earth was not alone. The human ship arrived at Tarven 3 days later. From orbit, the planet looked like a dark red wound in space. Fires still burned on the surface. Black clouds hung over shattered cities. No life signs remained. Tarven had once been a strong colony of the Varnock Dominion. Now it was just smoke and ash. But the swarm was still there, hidden under the ground in the ruined buildings, deep inside the oceans. They waited. The human warship, Shadowlance, held position above the planet. It was shaped like a long spear, black as night with no lights on its surface. Even its engines made no sound. It was a ghost in space. Inside the command room, the human woman, Captain Mara Lynn, stood before a large screen. Her second in command, Commander Rafe, read the data. Confirmed, Rafe said. Swarm units still active below the surface, no movement, they're nesting. Mara nodded. Perfect. That means they think it's safe. Behind them, the Varnock ship Honor's Roar arrived, followed by 3 more cruisers from other species. The Council had sent their best ships, but they still looked old compared to the Shadowlance. The alien captains joined via hololink. Chancellor Gore's image appeared first. We are ready, Captain Lynn, he said. Mara looked straight at him. Then begin the bait drop. On the surface of Tarven, a small pod launched from the Shadowlance. It fell fast, burning through the clouds. It hit the ground with a loud thud, kicking up dust and ash. Inside the pod was nothing but heat and sound, a mix of heartbeats, movement, and noise that mimicked life. A perfect trap. The swarm woke. At first, only a few creatures moved, long, black limbs, glowing red eyes. Then more, and more. Within minutes, hundreds began crawling from the ground, climbing broken buildings, moving toward the pod. Mara watched them on the screen. Just like last time, Commander Rafe nodded. They're taking the bait. They think it's food. The swarm surrounded the pod, screeching in strange clicks and tones. But there was nothing inside, and by the time they realized, it was too late. Mara gave the order. Activate the net. From orbit, the Shadow Lance fired dozens of small satellites into the sky. They formed a web over the planet, invisible to the eye but deadly in purpose. Each satellite was armed with pulse disruptors, magnetic bombs, and radiation shields. The swarm was trapped, but they didn't run. They never ran. They began to build. From the ruins, they started forming strange towers growing out of the ground like twisted trees. They pulled metal from the wreckage and bones from the dead. They were not just beasts. They were builders, thinkers. Commander Rafe's face grew tense. They're adapting again, just like Earth. Mara narrowed her eyes. Then we test the, new weapon. She tapped the screen. A countdown began. Below, the swarm screamed. 30 seconds later, the ground shook. A bright flash tore across the sky. The pod exploded, but it wasn't just a normal blast. It released a pulse of burning blue light that froze the swarm mid-movement. Their bodies turned stiff. Their minds scrambled. For a moment, they couldn't move, couldn't think. And then, they shattered. The alien commanders on the hololink gasped. "What was that?" asked Gore. "A psi disruptor," Mara replied. "We built it to destroy their neural link. It works, for now." Commander Rafe looked at the readings. "We got about 68% of them." "That's not enough," Mara said coldly. "We need to wipe them all." The alien captains were still watching in shock. One of them, a quiet gray-skinned creature named Vel of the Run Alliance, asked a question no one else had dared to speak. "Captain Lin, if this fails, will you use Oblivion?" Mara didn't answer right away. Then she said softly, "If we must." "Yes." The silence returned. In the old wars, Oblivion meant the destruction of everything. Planet, life, atmosphere, even time itself seemed to scream when it was used. "We do not want that," Gore said. "Neither do we," Mara replied. "But the swarm is not something you fight, it's something you erase." On the surface, a new sound began. Loud, deep, like metal grinding. The swarm had changed again. They were building something bigger, something alive. It looked like a tower made of arms and skulls, and it pulsed like a heart. "They're calling for others," Rafe warned. Mara's eyes went cold. "Shut it down, now." Rafe turned to the control panel, releasing fire drones. Thousands of tiny black ships launched from the Shadow Lance. They flew in perfect formation, diving into the planet's atmosphere like falling knives. Each one carried a single mission: burn everything that moves. From space, the surface of Tarvan looked like it was catching fire all over again. Inside the council ships, the alien crews watched in silence. They had expected help. They had not expected this. They had never seen war like Earth's. Chancellor Gore watched the flames rise from the planet. "Is this what it takes to survive?" he asked. Captain Lin, far away in her dark ship, answered without emotion. "This is just the beginning." And far out in the black void of space, the real swarm listened. And they began to change again, because now they remembered Earth. And Earth remembered them. The fires on Tarvan burned for 2 days. From orbit, it looked like a planet caught in a storm of flames. Black smoke covered the sky. Craters glowed with red light. The drones had done their job. Every surface nest was gone. Every moving swarm creature had been turned to ash. But inside the Shadow Lance, Captain Mara Lin didn't relax. She stood at the main screen, arms crossed, eyes sharp. "It's too quiet," she said. Commander Rafe nodded. "I agree, no movement, no new signals, but it doesn't feel right." Mara tapped the panel. "Bring up deep scans." The screen shifted. A new layer of the planet appeared, underground. And then they saw it. Below the surface, deep inside the planet's crust, something was growing. Rafe stepped closer. "It's alive, but not swarm units, and not yet." "It's a hive seed," Mara said. They planted it before the attack. It's been feeding underground. Gore's voice came through the hololink. What happens if it wakes up? Mara didn't blink. It creates a queen. The alien commanders froze. Even those who had faced the swarm in battle had never seen a queen. They had only heard the stories of planets falling in minutes, of mines collapsing from psychic screams, of ships turning on their own crews. The swarm queens were more than leaders. They were living weapons. If we let that seed grow, Rafe said, Tarvin will become the center of a new swarm. And the net won't hold them, Mara added. Gore leaned forward. Can you destroy it? There was a long pause. Then Mara said, yes, but not from orbit. Everyone looked at her. You mean go down there? Fel of the Rune Alliance asked. Yes, Mara replied. A ground strike, small team, deep entry. We plant a core bomb inside the hive and destroy it from within. You'll be surrounded, Gore said. You won't make it out. Mara looked at Rafe. That's not the goal, she said quietly. Silence. The alien commanders stared at her. They didn't know what to say. This human, cold, calm, and willing to walk into death without blinking, wasn't like anyone they knew. Rafe cleared his throat. I'll lead the team. Mara stays here. She's the only one who can fly the lance if this goes wrong. Mara looked at him. No, I go. He stepped forward. Captain, I started this, she said. I saw the first swarm. I survived Earth. I built the weapons that can stop them. This is my war, Rafe wanted to argue, but he knew she was right. Mara turned to the screen. Prepare the entry ship. We leave in 1 hour. The dropship pierced the clouds like a knife. It was small, just big enough for a 6-person team. Inside were Mara, Rafe, and 4 soldiers from Earth's Ghost Division. Each wore heavy armor and carried weapons designed for one thing only: swarm kill. The ship entered a deep crack in the ground, flying low through smoke and falling ash. The heat was intense. The air shimmered, but they didn't stop. Keep us steady, Mara said. The pilot nodded, sweat running down his neck. They reached the target zone, a wide underground chamber filled with strange glowing vines and bones melted into the walls. At the center of the room, it pulsed. The hive seed was massive, like a giant heart made of flesh and metal. Tubes reached into the rock. It breathed slowly, like it was dreaming, and it was dreaming of death. Rafe stared. It's almost ready. Mara stepped forward. Then, we don't wait. She opened the case and pulled out the core bomb. It was a small silver device, no bigger than her hand, but it held enough energy to crack a mountain in half. They moved carefully toward the hive seed. The walls dripped with slime. Strange whispers echoed through the chamber, though no one was speaking. They know we're here, one soldier said. Let them come, Mara whispered. Suddenly, the ground shook. From the tunnels above, swarm units dropped down, thin, tall, with glowing eyes and long claws. They moved like spiders, fast and silent. Contact! Rafe shouted. The team opened fire. Red light lit up the dark chamber. The swarm screamed, crawling over walls, leaping. From shadows, Mara didn't stop. She moved toward the hive seed while the others held the line. One soldier fell, then another. Rafe covered Mara's back as she reached the heart of the seed. She placed the bomb deep into the soft tissue, pressed the code, and activated the timer. Go. Now! She shouted. But when they turned to run, the tunnel behind them collapsed. Blocked. Mara looked around. No escape. Rafe grabbed her arm. The top! We climb! Above them, a shaft led straight up. The remaining soldier fired a grappling line, and one by one they began the climb. The timer ticked. Seconds. Mara was last, climbing fast. The seed below screamed, a sound so loud it cracked the walls. The swarm queen was waking. Your seconds. They reached the dropship. The pilot pulled them in. Punch it, Rafe yelled. The ship rocketed upward, just as the ground split apart. Below, the core bomb exploded. A blast of blue light filled the cave, then a wall of fire. The entire chamber collapsed. taking the hive seed and everything around it into nothing. From space, the explosion was silent, but the signal was loud. Earth was not weak. Earth remembered how to end wars, and Earth had just sent a message. The return to orbit was quiet. Captain Mara Lynn sat in the medical bay of the Shadowlance, a bandage across her shoulder, blood still on her armor. 2 of her soldiers were dead. 1 was badly burned. Rafe stood next to her, silent. The hive was gone. The Queen had never fully awakened, but something was wrong. No one on the alien council ship spoke for hours. They had watched the explosion. They had seen the human team walk into a nightmare and come back alive. But what troubled them most was how calm the humans were. Back on the council ship Honor's Roar, Chancellor Gore stood before his advisors. They act like this is normal, he said. Vel, the gray-skinned leader from the Rune Alliance, nodded. Because it is. For them, death, fire, war, this is what Earth lives with. And they hide things from us. Powerful things. Another alien, High Speaker Dorn of the Ciari, stepped forward. That weapon the humans used, the pulse bomb, it doesn't match any known design. Even our best minds cannot copy it. There's more, Vel said. Before the mission, I ran scans on the Shadowlance, their ship core. It's not nuclear. It's not fusion. It's something we don't understand. You think they have a second power source? Gore asked. I think, Vel said slowly, that we have no idea what Earth is truly capable of. On the Shadow, Lance Mara sat in the war room alone. She looked at an old photo on her datapad, her old team on Earth back before the swarm had arrived. So many of them were gone now. Commander Rafe entered. Council's requesting a briefing. She didn't look up. They're starting to ask questions. Rafe frowned. Do we tell them? Mara stood. Not yet. Later, in the council chamber, the alien leaders gathered. Giant screens showed images of the destroyed hive. Swarm corpses, fire and dust. The kind of scenes most of them had only read about in reports. Mara stood at the center, calm as ever. Gore spoke first. You have our thanks, Captain. Without your actions, Tarven would be a graveyard of the living. But, Vel added, we must ask, how far are you willing to go? Mara looked at him. As far as it takes. And what else are you hiding? Vel asked, voice sharp. You say this is not the full swarm, that a larger hive is still out there. So why do you act like you're prepared, like you already know how this ends? Mara walked to the display and tapped the screen. A new image appeared. A planet. Burned. Black. Its surface cracked. Orbiting it was a massive object. Too big to be a station. Too strange to be a ship. This, she said, was what Earth found 7 years ago. A dead world. A hidden swarm nest, but not just any nest. This was where they came from. The aliens stared. You've known their origin? Dorn gasped. And you never told us? Mara nodded. Because no one believed us before, and because Earth made a decision. What decision? Gore asked. To stop running, she said. To fight them not with peace, but with something worse. The lights dimmed. On the screen, a new shape appeared. Huge, dark, floating in space like a monster in a dream. It looked like a ship, but it had no engines, no lights, no visible weapons. Just smooth black armor and a strange red glow deep inside. What is that? Vel whispered. Mara looked at them. That's Judgment, she said. Earth's deadliest secret, a supercarrier, built not to fight battles, but to erase enemies from history. Gore stepped back. That ship is active? Mara nodded. No, not yet. It sleeps beneath Earth's moon. But if the swarm returns in full force, we will wake it. The room went cold. You built this and never told us? Dorn shouted. You were not ready to hear it, Mara replied. We asked for help. We begged. No one listened. So Earth built its own answer. Vel's voice trembled. What does it do? Mara looked him in the eye. It ends things. Completely. No one spoke for a long time. Finally, Gore asked, "Why tell us now?" "Because," Mara said, "the swarm knows about it. They remember it. That's why they're afraid." Rafe entered the room with a new report. He handed it to Mara. She scanned it, and her face changed. "They've moved," she said. "A swarm fleet just emerged from deep space. Hundreds of ships, heading for our location." Gore's face went pale. "They're coming for us?" "No," Mara said quietly. "They're coming for judgment." Out in the blackness of space far beyond Tarven, a signal echoed. It was not a scream, it was a warning. The swarm had remembered Earth's greatest secret, and they were coming to stop it, before it woke. The space around Earth's moon was quiet. But deep inside the hidden hangar under its gray surface, machines were waking up. Warning lights flashed red. Heavy steel gates opened slowly. Giant chains unlocked with loud, grinding sounds. And in the center of the chamber, something began to rise. The supercarrier Judgment. It had slept for years. No light, no movement, no sound. Only silence and cold steel. Now systems came online. Engines hummed. Armor plates moved. Weapons clicked into place. Inside the Shadow Lance, orbiting a nearby station, Captain Mara Lynn watched the activation feed. Commander Rafe stood next to her. "I didn't think we'd have to wake it so soon." Mara didn't answer. Her eyes stayed on the screen. She saw the long black shape of Judgment slowly rising like a sea monster from the deep. "How long until it's ready?" she asked. 37 minutes, said the tech officer. "But the swarm will be here in 20. Rafe frowned. "We won't make it in time." Mara turned to the team. "Then we buy time." In the skies near Earth, human defense ships moved into position. Not large fleets, not superweapons, just fast, sharp fighters with skilled pilots. Ships with old names like Valkyrie, Sword of Dawn, and Echo 9. They flew with one goal: delay the swarm. Even for 1 minute. Inside Earth's council chamber, the world leaders stood silent. They had known of Judgment, of course, but they had hoped it would never rise. Now, it had to. The alien leaders from Tarven sent messages from their own ships. Gore's voice came through the comm. "We are bringing reinforcements, run cruisers, Ciari storm ships, we are on our way." But Vel added, "We won't reach you in time." Rafe looked at Mara. "We stand alone again." "No," she said. "Not alone, just first." The swarm arrived like a black wave in space. Hundreds of ships, sleek and sharp, with glowing green lights. They didn't speak. They didn't wait. They opened fire as soon as they saw Earth's line of defense. Explosions filled the void. Fighter wings dodged blasts. Some were hit instantly. Others stayed and fought, spinning and firing with everything they had. On the Shadow Lance, alarms blared. Rafe shouted orders. Drones launched. Defense grids activated. Earth's old defenses lit up again. Systems built long ago, hidden under cities and seas. Still, the swarm pushed forward. They weren't here to win a battle. They were here to destroy Judgment before it fully woke. 20 minutes later, the moon's hangar split open. Judgment rose. It moved without sound. Black armor, no windows, no flags, no light. Just size and power. The swarm saw it and paused. Some of their ships broke formation. Some turned. They remembered. Mara stood at the front of the command deck. She said nothing. Her hand rested on the key. Rafe looked at her. "Final activation?" Mara nodded. "Authorization, Captain Mara Lynn, Earth Command. Activate Judgment." The lights across the ship flickered. Engines roared, and for the first time in human history, the Judgment spoke. A deep mechanical voice filled the channel. "Target confirmed. Threat level, extinction. Weapons online. Beginning counter-invasion." Massive. Doors on the ship's side opened. They didn't fire lasers, they didn't launch missiles. Instead, strange white orbs flew out, dozens of them. They looked small, weak. The swarm fired at them. Some exploded, but the ones that made it to the enemy ships stuck. and then pulsed. The swarm ships started to rot. Not burn. Rot. Their metal twisted. Their cores melted. Their systems turned against them. One by one, swarm cruisers collapsed into silence. Gore watched from his ship, eyes wide. "What is that?" Mara answered simply. "A weapon made from their own biology, based on what Earth learned when the swarm attacked us the first time. It doesn't kill them. It erases them." The alien commanders finally understood. Earth didn't build judgment to win wars. Earth built it to end threats before wars could even begin, but it wasn't over. A new swarm signal appeared, one that even Earth hadn't seen before. It was huge. Queen ship. A living swarm hive wrapped in steel and bone heading straight for judgment. Mara's face turned hard. "They've sent their oldest queen." Rafe asked, "What do we do?" She looked at him. "We finish what we started." The queen ship screamed as it approached. The sound didn't come through the speakers. It came into the minds of every living thing. Some passed out. Some screamed. But Mara stood still. So did Rafe. And judgment opened its core. Inside was a weapon Earth never tested. A star killer. A cannon that didn't fire light, but folded space itself. It charged. Time seemed to slow. The queen ship reached within firing distance, and judgment fired. There was no explosion. There was no flash. There was just silence. The queen ship vanished, erased from time. Mara turned away from the screen. "Threat removed," Rafe whispered. "They'll come again." "Yes," Mara said. "But next time they won't forget what waits for them." Far across the galaxy, hidden in the dark corners of space, the rest of the swarm felt something for the first time in centuries. Fear. The galaxy was quiet. Not because the swarm had been destroyed, but because they had vanished. After the queen ship was erased by judgment, no new signals appeared. No new hives. No attacks. Nothing. Just silence. The kind of silence that comes after something ancient, runs in fear. Captain Mara Lynn sat in the command seat of the Shadow Lance orbiting Earth. She had not slept in 2 days. Across from her, Commander Rafe was reading the latest report. Still no sign of swarm activity. Mara nodded slowly. "They're not gone, just hiding, waiting. But now," he said, "they know. They know what Earth can do." In the council hall on Tarven, alien leaders sat together for the first true emergency session since the war began. Gore stood before the group. "We saw it with our own eyes. The humans called this ship Judgment. But that word is too small." "Vel," the run leader added, "it didn't just win, it changed the rules. That ship ends empires." Speaker Dorn whispered, "If Earth had turned that weapon on us, we'd be gone." There was silence in the hall. Then Gore asked the question. No one wanted to speak out loud. "What do we do with Earth?" Back on Earth, the president stood beside Mara and Rafe. Giant screens showed the council broadcast. The Rune wanted full human cooperation on Judgment's tech. The Ciari wanted Earth to dismantle the ship. The Corps suggested Earth be watched, monitored, maybe even controlled. Mara turned off the screen. "They're afraid of us," she said. Rafe nodded. "Because they saw what we can do," the president sighed. "We didn't build Judgment to rule. We built it to survive." "Then let's remind them of that," Mara said. Later, a special message was sent from Earth to the Galactic Council. Mara stood at a podium. Her voice was calm but firm. "You saw what Earth is capable of. You saw Judgment. And now you wonder, are we a threat? The answer is simple." She paused. "We are a mirror. What you bring to us, we reflect. When you offered friendship, we gave trust. When you ignored our warnings, we prepared. When the swarm came, we didn't run." The screen showed clips of human fighters holding the line, of the Shadow Lance diving into fire, of Judgment rising from the moon's surface. "We didn't ask to become monsters, but Earth has learned. Kindness alone cannot protect a species. Hope cannot stop a hive. And peace means nothing without strength to defend it." She took a deep breath. Earth is not your enemy. But if you become a threat to humanity, then remember what the swarm saw. She ended with one final line. You saw our deadliest secret. Now ask yourself, what haven't we shown you yet? The council said nothing. Not for hours. But then, one by one they responded, not with fear, but with respect. The Run sent a message of alliance. The Ciari offered Earth a place on the high command. Even the Corps sent engineers to study defense with humans, not against them. The galaxy had learned something that day. Earth was not to be pitied or feared. Earth was now a guardian, a warning, a force. Months later, Judgment returned to sleep beneath the moon. But this time it didn't sleep in secret. It slept under the watch of every star nation, its presence a silent promise. If evil rises, again, humanity will rise too. And somewhere in the dark part of the galaxy, the last Swarm Queen floated in a broken ship. She had survived the blast, barely. Around her, what remained of her hive clicked and twitched, confused and afraid. She looked out into space and remembered the shape of Judgment. She had seen many weapons. But this was something made of pain, of fury, of loss, and love. And for the first time in her long, endless life, the Queen feared the humans.